Welcome to a very special program, Again the Snares of the Devil. Presenting is Robert Onsando. Once again, I want to share with you a very pertinent issue that has confused the whole world, but stands at the focus of every Christian. And you'll be surprised to know that probably what you've been believing is not what is biblical. My work is just to share with you, open the Bible, just like the Bereans. And you know what? If there is what we call intellectual deceit, is what we are going to unveil today. Because the devil said and vowed to ensure that he will deceive the whole world. And his target, number one, was to make sure that you don't really understand the day Jesus Christ was crucified or was put on the cross. And because that is where our salvation lies. I would want us to read one of very important verses in the Bible. Of course, I'm not saying others are not important, but for the sake of this Bible study, this is very important because it unveils and it shares with us what the gospel is. And this is where the good news is. You may have read it several times, but I would want us to go back and read it once again. This is 1 Corinthians 15. I would love us to start from verse 1. And I will read in the version that I have. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. Verse 3, for I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and he rose again on the third day according to the Scriptures. What we want to talk about is the gospel. And Paul is reiterating and saying this is where the good news is. And what is bringing unto us is not what he formed himself. This is what he was given. And because he witnessed it himself, so is bringing unto us a first-hand information. And if you guys did not believe or does not believe in what he's saying, then our belief is all in vain. What is it all about? It talks about Jesus dying, being buried, and resurrecting on the third day. Now the question comes, does it matter anyway? Because I've heard very many people saying that it doesn't matter. After all, Jesus resurrected. And that is the most important thing, that Jesus be born in your life. But again, why then is this being brought unto us? I want us to go into the Bible and dig down to understand the truth that we are supposed to know. Because the devil all the time is out to ensure that he deceives us. And many people, the intellectuals, people who have gone to school well, actually have been deceived. What does the Bible tell us? We must prove all things. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things, hold fast unto what is good. You don't just accept anything. We must prove it. And why are we proving this? We are proving it because we have a lot of deceits and false prophets coming on board. Let's read 1 John 4:1. What does it say? 1 John 1:4. The reason why we need to prove all things, because there are people who are at work, and their work is to ensure that they confuse the whole world. What does it say? 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, But try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. And today, I want us to go down into the Bible. And at the end of this Bible study, please let us know through SMSing, through writing to us, whether you have any issues or where you didn't understand. And I would want us to go right into one of the very famous Bible verses, Matthew 12, starting from 38. I would love us to start from verse 38. And who is speaking? This is Jesus himself speaking. He was with the Pharisees. And you all know who the Pharisees are and the Sadducees. Let's listen to their conversation. This is how their conversation went. Then certain of the scribes and the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. They were demanding for a sign. They were demanding for Jesus to show them a miracle. They were with Jesus all this time. They had seen many, many miracles. But again, they wanted another miracle. Now, listen to what Jesus says. But he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. There is only one sign that Jesus promised to show them. The one that they will never forget in their lifetime. The one that is most important. Which one is this? In verse 40. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That is the only sign Jesus promised to show them. And it is important because they are talking about 3 days and 3 nights. People have always tried to challenge this when we talk about Jesus dying 3 days and 3 nights, resurrecting on the third day. But what does the Bible tell us? Let us not add or remove anything that is written, because this is a holy scripture. Now, 3 days, 3 nights. Even a class 1 child knows that a day has 12 hours. And if you cannot believe what I'm telling you, let's still go back to the Bible in John 11:9. What does it tell? Just to clarify to us how many hours a day has. 11 verse 9, and this is what it says. Jesus answered, Are there no 12 hours in the day? If a man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. So what does that tell you? And what I only wanted you to pick is 12 hours. So we have 12 hours in a day. Then the night also has 12 hours. Jesus himself from his mouth confirmed that he will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. That totals to 72 hours. That totals to 72 hours. So what are we talking about? Jesus will never lie. Scriptures will never conflict themselves. And we must believe in what the scriptures tell us. So what we know and what we must take is 3 days and 3 nights. He will be in the heart of the earth. Now, let's go ahead and see something else that probably will direct us into the exact date that Jesus died on the cross. Why are we looking at this? Because Constantine in 325 AD brought up something else. And there is this very special celebration that people do celebrate, calling it Easter. And that's why we normally have what we call Good Friday. People believe that Jesus died on a Friday and resurrected on a Sunday. That is the celebration that goes on the whole world. So we want to disapprove that through the verses. And let's go direct to John 19:31. What does John 19:31 tell us? John 19:31, is a very famous verse as well, and people use it much. But this time I want you to look at it with a second eye. And this is what it says. The Jews, therefore, because it was preparation, it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. Then, there is something else, there is some emphasis in the same verse. For that Sabbath day was an high day. Besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. My focus here in this verse is actually two things. One, it was preparation day. Which day was this? Number two, because it was approaching the Sabbath was about to begin. Then there is emphasis, which Sabbath was this? They are talking of a high Sabbath. Do we actually know which high Sabbath is? Let's get back to verse 14 in the same chapter, just to clarify what the verse means by preparation day. In verse 14, same chapter, it talks about, and it was the preparation of the Passover. It was preparation of the Passover. What was happening on that day? About the 6th hour, and he said unto the Jews, Behold your king. And to the 6th hour, that is when Jesus was put on the tree. And being a Passover week, you know, Jesus was tempted, and that is the same week that he ate the Lord's Passover with his disciples. Judas Iscariot betrayed him on that very week. So we are talking about a very special week. And the week was Passover week. So the preparation we are talking about is not preparation of the weekly Sabbath, as many people do say. We have other Sabbaths. You know, Sabbath in itself means rest. When people refrain from their normal duties, people don't do their normal activities, daily activities. And that is what we call rest, as ordered by God himself. If you read other verses, probably in Exodus 20, you realize that we had many Sabbaths, more than one Sabbath. We had an annual Sabbath, then we have weekly Sabbath. And how do we confirm this? We confirm this from the book of Leviticus 23. That is where I would want you to listen. And actually, you will understand that we have many more Sabbaths and feasts of the Lord. Leviticus 23, and I'll start with, I would love us to start with verse 1, for the sake of, us getting the basis of this. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of the Lord. Concerning the feasts of the Lord. They are not your feasts. These feasts we are talking about belong to God. I want to continue with that. Which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation. What does holy convocation mean? These are holy assemblies. Convocation are assemblies where people come together. And these are holy. Even these are my feasts. Then he continues, because he wants to show out, to point to the feast he's talking about. Number 1, in verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath Sabbath of rest. As an holy convocation, ye shall do no work. I just want to share with you that the first one he pointed to was the weekly Sabbath. Because a weekly Sabbath had already been pronounced during creation. And he's actually trying to emphasize on it that it is an holy convocation. And it is his, not yours. So let me just go to verse 4. Then he says, these are the feasts of the Lord. He again repeats the same, that the feasts are of the Lord, even holy convocation. The convocation, the assembly, the coming together, is holy during this particular day, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. They have their time frames. They are those particular days that you have to celebrate them. You don't just choose your own day or season. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover. The first annual, we call it an annual Sabbath or celebration feast, was the Lord's Passover, which was to be conducted on the 14th day of the first month. It's just an holy convocation, but remember, it is not pronounced as a Sabbath. You can do your work. But what you only need to do is remember it is the Lord's Passover. Then what happens in the next verse? This is the 14th day. The next verse says, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of the unleavened bread unto the Lord. The 15th day is the following day after 14th. What happens? We have what we call unleavened day of the unleavened bread, feast of the unleavened bread. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. Now, from that particular day, you will count 7 days when you eat unleavened bread. In the first day of the 7 days, you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. What I'm trying to put across, when you are not allowed to do any work, then that becomes a Sabbath. So, in the 7 days, that is after the Lord's Passover, you go to the next day, which is the 15th day. It is a Sabbath, and we call it an annual Sabbath. And this is exactly what is referred to in the book of John 19:31. Let's go back to the same book and read it once more, because then you will now understand that Jesus was crucified on the Passover week. After the Passover lamb, after eating the lamb, what happened? The next thing was the following day immediately was supposed to be a holy week of the unleavened bread. And on the first day of the 7 days, the first one was to be an annual Sabbath. And this is what is clarified in the book of John. I just want to read for the sake of us to understand. And you have all the freedom with the new technology, the technology that we have. Please, don't hesitate to Google what a high Sabbath means. You'll get exactly what we are talking about. So 19:31 again. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation. It was the Passover, Lord's Passover. The bodies should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. It was approaching evening. You remember very well what happened on that material day. When it was approaching evening, they had to ask ask for the body of Jesus Christ to go and bury before the Sabbath begins. And that is what they are saying here, that Sabbath was a high day. So it was an annual Sabbath. With that in mind, I want us to look at something here. If it is true and you believe that Jesus was buried on a Friday, you can't count 3 days. It can't come. But when we talk about this, there is only one thing that the Bible tells us. And if you went to a mathematics class, there is one thing that you need to know. That we have what we call, when you are solving a problem, you solve from the known to the unknown. What is the known in the Bible? Matthew 28 verse 1. That is where we have the known. Matthew 28 verse 1, we have the known. And what is this that is known? In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and other Mary to see the sepulchre. What are we told here? After the Sabbath had ended, They had the freedom now to go and see where Jesus was buried. And when they went there, of course, they found that the body of Jesus was not there. But when was that? After the Sabbath. So what we know, it was after the Sabbath. And remember what Jesus had said, 3 days and 3 nights. But how do we prove this? Even if we count backwards then, from the known to the unknown, then it's not possible that Jesus was buried on a Friday, because you cannot have 72 hours elapsing at that particular time. You will not have the 3 days and 3 nights counting. Then how is it possible that we get the true day of Jesus having been crucified? Because this is what people talk about. And by the way, if you didn't know, the devil is attacking this because this is where salvation is. This is the most important event that ever happened in this world. Because remember what Jesus said, what he said in John 3:16, the verse that we all know and we all read. What does John 3:16 say? I just want to read for the sake of the ones who have never read it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. We are talking about everlasting life here. This is about life and death. You get it correct, then you're okay. You get it wrong, then you perish. And you know, we have these Bibles in our houses all through. People have always argued about celebrating Good Friday, Easter Monday, but do they really celebrate the way the Bible is supposed? The Bible tells us. Now, I want us to look at one verse that probably will blow you out again. Now that we have confirmed that it is not possible that Jesus died on a Friday, because the counting will never add up. What if you start counting backwards? How many nights are there? If you assume, I'm just saying if you assume, that probably Jesus resurrected after the Sabbath, because they went after the Sabbath, they did not find the body there. Can you assume that he resurrected after the Sabbath had ended? So we will have 1 full day of the Sabbath, that is the daylight. Then we'll have 1 full day of that was on the Sabbath. Then we have another full day of the Friday. Then we have another full day of Saturday, or of Thursday. So those are days. So I'm just assuming, I want us to calculate the full days. We have Thursday full day, Friday full day, and Saturday full day. What about nights? Which night did Jesus sleep in the grave? The last one. That was on Friday night. You know, the way the Bible counts days is different from the way human beings, or the way we count, because things have changed. Because the day starts at night and ends during the daylight. So we can count the first one, assuming that it was Wednesday, that night, that the Thursday, as we begin Thursday, the night begins then day. So there was Thursday night, then there was Friday night, then there was Saturday night. Those are 3. Because the night ends, then the day begins. Those are 3 days and 3 nights. But I want to give you a very good confirmation in the book of Daniel 7:25. What does Daniel 7:25 say? Daniel 7:25. Daniel is a prophetic book. Many people have read it and they know it. Now, I want to share with you what Daniel 7:25 says. Know therefore and understand. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah. The prince shall be 7 weeks, and their score and 2 weeks. Okay, sorry, I'm reading 25. I needed to read 27. I don't want to read many verses there. And he shall confirm, that is what I wanted. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. This is about confirmation of the covenant. It will be for 1 week. 1 week has how many days? Has 7 days. When do we start counting the week? The biblical counting of the week starts from the first day of the week is Sunday, then Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those are 7 days. Now let's continue. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. In this 1 week, in the middle of it, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. When is the middle of the week? When, if we have 7 days, we have 3 days and 3 days, then there is 1 day in the middle. Which day is that? That day is Wednesday. And if it is Wednesday, when the sacrifices shall cease. When did the sacrifices cease? That is when he said it is finished. And he was on the cross. And he became the Passover lamb himself. And from that particular time, we had the offerings, the burnt offerings, and the sacrifices that were done ceased. The temple veil, was rent. And that is what we call the ceasing of the sacrifices. That was at the middle of the week. The middle of the week is on Wednesday. That is when Jesus was crucified. It may be important for you or not, but it is important to know that the Christ that we worship was not crucified on a Friday. That's where the devil has caught all of us. And the whole world celebrates Easter holidays based on what the devil has put forth. And my brothers and sisters, it is important for us to continue learning and sharing this information. Go to our website, www.cgi.org, to get more confirmation. God bless you.